Niagara Amusement Park in Grand Island, New York, just outside of Niagara Falls, is a park I was able to go to for the first time this past July. And I definitely had some thoughts on it, which I will be sharing in this video. Niagara Amusement Park has had kind of a problematic history. It originally opened as Fantasy Island in 1961, and they really didn't have any roller coasters. They didn't get any roller coasters until later on. The most notable roller coaster here by far is Silver Comet, which is a CCI that opened in 1999. And this park has actually gone by a few different names over the years. For a while, it went by Martin's Fantasy Island, and at one point for a very short time, it even went by Two Flags over Niagara Fun Park, which is kinda weird. And of course Niagara Amusement Park, which is what it goes by today. And I think we should all be really thankful that this park even exists today. Because in 2019, when Apex closed Indiana Beach for good, Martin's Fantasy Island closed with it. And unlike Indiana Beach, which never ended up actually closing, and then got saved by Gene Staples before it ever even had a chance to close, Fantasy Island did close, and was left to rot after Apex took out almost every ride that could be relocated or made some kind of profit off of. And the park even got broken into and vandalized. Until Gene Staples, who previously saved Indiana Beach, came in and bought Niagara Amusement Park and reopened the water park for the 2021 season. But the rest of the park didn't open until 2022 season, with Silver Comet needing track work and a new train. But now that we have a little bit of history out of the way, let's talk about the park experience. When you get to the park, you will first see many different ride parts like for water slides and even a Schwarzkopf shuttle loop, but I'll talk more about that later. When you enter the park, you are greeted with a nice front entrance that looks perfect for a small park like this. And the front area in this park actually looks really nice, especially considering that this park has a reputation for not exactly having the best atmosphere. A lot of the buildings look nice and well kept, and this is really the main centerpiece of the park. It's not very big, but it looks pretty nice with a small pond and the park's logo and some trees around it. And if you go right from here, there's some kiddie rides, but I didn't get the chance to go in this area, mostly because these rides aren't really made for me. But they also weren't operating any of them, which I'm thinking is directly related to staffing. And if you turn left from this main area, they have a Western show, which is really cool and something that you wouldn't expect to find at a park like this. It's something that they really don't have to do, but they do it anyway, and it just shows that they really do care about this park. And it's also a good thing that whenever the show happened, there would always be people watching, which is surprising with the crowds that this park gets, which once again I will talk about more later. And that is pretty much the whole front half of the park. You can tell this area, while still feeling like a family-owned amusement park, is very well kept and looks really nice, which might change a little bit later. But now if you want to get to the back of the park, which is where all the main rides are, there are a few different pathways that you can go through the trees and over a cool little creek, and this feels more like a nature trail than being in the middle of a theme park, which is pretty cool and fits very well in a park like this. But then you get to the back of the park, and you can tell that this section doesn't really focus as much on being well kept and nice looking, which isn't to say that it looks bad, but there is definitely a big difference between the front and middle sections of the park and the back section. But I won't judge it too much because this park is definitely still in its transition phase. Like I said earlier, the main coaster in the park by far is Silver Comet, a CCI from the late 90s. This is really a good coaster and probably the main reason anyone wants to visit Niagara Amusement Park. It has some really good airtime, especially the first two speed hills, which I would honestly take over Predator's first Camelback. And there are a few other good airtime moments, like the step down after the first turnaround, and the small, kind of little like drop from the second to last turn. And in the front row, this coaster has an insane lateral jolt into one of the turnarounds, which from off-ride looks like a dead spot because of how slow you go over it, but on-ride it's much different. And as long as you're in a non-wheel seat, it's pretty smooth outside of that low to the ground turn towards the end. This might be a little bit weak compared to other CCIs, but it's a really great coaster for a park like this to have. And also in this section of the park, they have a new dark ride, and some other rides, some under construction like a Husk Condor and some other operating rides. And fun fact, the Husk Condor actually came from Hershey Park. And at the end of this pathway, that is where you will find the park's other roller coaster, Serpent, an SDC Galaxy that came from Funway Amusement Park in Michigan, but it had many more homes before that. And this is technically a new for 2024 roller coaster, but it didn't open until the last few days of the season, so it didn't actually have a lot of time where it was open until 2025. And this is a pretty good supporting coaster, especially because for this one, the only coaster here before it was Silver Comet. It doesn't run quite as good as the one at Sylvan Beach, but it's still pretty good. And my main complaint with Serpent is the capacity. Usually that wouldn't be a problem in a park like this, but with one train and 4 people per train, it is not a fun line to wait in. There were probably about 20 people in line when I rode it, and the line took about 35 to 40 minutes. And this park does actually have a water park that is included with admission, which isn't very big, but it does look like it has a few good slides. And admission to this park on most days costs around $25 to $30, which is pretty good for what you get with this park. Especially because earlier over the summer, they introduced the walk-around pass for only $5 if you don't plan on riding anything. The park overall, I would say, looks nice. Some areas definitely much more than others, but like I said, this park is in its transition phase now, so hopefully the back area starts to get a new look in the next few years. Now let's go back to what I started talking about earlier, the future of this park. Like I said, there are many ride parts in the parking lot. Most notably, the Schwarzkopf shuttle loop that used to operate at La Feria in Mexico. This has been in storage at the park since 2022, and I really hope it gets built eventually, but I don't have a lot of hope that it'll be anytime soon. The main thing I worry about with this park is that it clearly struggles a lot with attendance. As you can probably tell in this footage, there is barely anyone in the park, and apparently this is a lot busier than the park usually is. And it's to the point that for the entire season, even in the peak summer season, this park only operates from Thursday through Sunday, which I don't think they used to do that. I really do worry about this park and its future, because I don't see how they could be making that much of a profit with attendance numbers like this. One way I think they could improve attendance is by advertising more. Whether it's just a sign that the park has reopened on the side of 190, which is the road that most people take to Niagara Falls from anywhere in America, and you can see this park really well from it. But a lot of people probably don't even know it's open. Another thing they could do is advertise more in Niagara Falls and Buffalo, because it's kind of between both cities, and I think attendance could definitely increase if they did this. But overall, I think this is a nice small park to have in an area like this. It might not be perfect, but it's great that it is even still here after it was almost gone for good when Apex shut it down. So if you enjoyed this video, then please like, comment, and subscribe for more, and I'll see you in the next video.